What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist, and today I want to talk to you about this pair of powered bookshelf speakers. These are the Fluance Ai61s. Now, before I get into it, I want to tell just a quick little story. After I got these out of the box, I decided I was going to go ahead and break them in on my computer desk. Fluance recommends 10 to 12 hours at medium volume for break-in, so that's what I was going to do, and that's what I did. So I set them up on my computer desk and started listening to music and stuff like that, and I just enjoyed myself. Personally, I don't use speakers on my computer desk, mainly because my previous desk was actually a little bit too small for speakers with the monitor that I had set up and everything, so I just never really got into it. I use headphones, and sometimes I actually use the computer speakers that are built into the computer. And I know some people are like, oh, that's an abomination. Yeah, I know, but that's what I use, so that's just me. But I use these and I enjoyed myself. After the break-in period, basically I just wanted to keep them there versus moving them to the theater setup because it was just so much fun. So first thing I want to say is these are great computer speakers. But let's go ahead and move on and talk about these speakers. Like I said, these are the Ai61s, but they do have a little brother known as the Ai41s. Both share the same color options. There are 4 different color options, including the black, which I have here. Both have a dome tweeter up top, but they differ in driver size. The Ai61 has a 6.5-inch driver, whereas the Ai41 has a 5-inch driver. They all have the same major connections on the back, with the exception of USB-C. The 61 has the USB-C connection, so it's easy to plug into a computer, whereas the 41 doesn't have that. But I'm happy to say that the 41 does have an optical in. And I say that because I actually reviewed the Ai40s, the previous generation, a few years ago. And in that video, I said this: I wish they included a digital optical cable so you could connect to more things. Now they have added that optical connection to the latest generation, the Ai41, so I'm going to take full credit and say, yep, Fluance listened to me, so thank you, Fluance. Now, as far as the Ai41s are concerned, please add the USB-C connection because it does make it even more versatile. But let's talk about these. Along the front face, again, you've got the tweeter up here, the mid-bass driver down here, and then right down here, you've got the multi-function button that does things like change the volume, actually turns it on with the press, it turns it off with a hold and press, and it also allows you to select different sources, including all the sources on the rear and Bluetooth 5.0. There's a little LED light right here that changes to different colors depending on the source selection, and over here is the little receiver for the remote. This is the primary speaker, the command and control speaker. It also comes with a power cable. You plug the power cable in here. You also plug in the included speaker cable here and then connect it to the secondary speaker, the passive speaker, this left speaker right here. That's the only connection that goes here. All the other connections go to this primary speaker. Now, like I said, it has a remote receiver, and this is the included remote. And this is a nice remote. It's basically the same remote as they had on the previous generation, and it feels nice in the hand. It's a plastic remote. It's fine. It has all the major buttons that you're looking for, including a button to dim or even turn off the LED light that's down here, which is quite nice if you're in a dark room. They also have a button to adjust the bass and treble, so you can increase or decrease both +5 or -5 depending on your personal preference. And one of the things that they've done that I like a lot is once you get to the top, either +5 or down to the bottom -5 on either one of these, the LED changes color to red and it flashes twice to let you know you've reached the top. But then once you decrease it back to nominal, back to 0, it flashes the source color twice to let you know you're at nominal. And that's just a nice little feature so you know where you are in the range, +5, -5, or at nominal flat, which is where it comes out of the box. I think that attention to detail is just very nice. I like it a lot. And before we go too far, let me play a quick audio sample so you can hear that these do make sound. now let's talk sound quality. And like I said earlier, I enjoyed listening to music and even watching TV with these speakers. The overall sound profile is actually a little bit warm. It's not neutral, it's a little bit warm, and there's decent clarity at the high end, in the mid-range, and even in the bass. Now personally, I had to add just a little bit to it, add a little bit to the bass just to kind of get it where I wanted for music. And I would say that for movies, I would definitely use the sub connection, because this will get down to about 40 hertz, which is good, don't get me wrong, but it's not a, powerful 40 hertz, right? So if you want a little bit more for your movies, I would definitely use that sub out connection and connect a subwoofer. But it does play well at the high end, in the mid-range, and decent at the bass. I would say I did try all of the different connections, from the Bluetooth 5 connections all the way up to the optical. And I have to say that the Bluetooth 5.0 is probably my least favorite. It's not as detailed as all the rest. So if you're, at a party, you're playing these for a party, something like that, that's fine. But if you're critically listening, I would go with one of the other connections, because you get a little bit of a cleaner sound throughout all of the frequencies. Now, as far as the stereo imaging is concerned, these do a really good job when they're properly set up. I used a track called Chocolate Trip that I actually just found out about on a trip to Audio Advice. They played that for me on a ridiculous 2-channel setup that they have in there, and it sounded fantastic. So I definitely got that, and I brought it home and I listened to it on these. And again, when they're properly set up, they do a good job of panning across. They didn't get as wide out as that system that I was listening to, because that system was like $100,000 or more, but they do a good job panning throughout, and there's actually decent depth to the image. But one thing I did notice was laterally, it doesn't go up as much as that system that I was listening to. But again, that system isn't really a fair comparison to these. But I did notice there wasn't as much lateral movement, but it does pan very, very well and gets quite wide when these are properly set up. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, the treble and the mid-range sound great. There's nice detail and it's pretty clean. I wouldn't say it's transparent, but it is pretty clean. And given the cost of these at $300, I think it's a great sound for $300. Now, as far as the bass is concerned, again, it works great for music, but if you want more bass, I would definitely add a subwoofer for movies and things like that. The major downside to these speakers, in my opinion, is the fact that they don't support Dolby Digital or a DTS sound signature. So if you connect these to your television, you will need to make sure that you select PCM or stereo out or something like that, not a Dolby signal, because these won't play it. But otherwise, I think they do a great job. Now, as I said before, the Ai61s are $299 at the time of this recording. And honestly, that makes these a great value because they sound great for that price. Now, that's not to say there aren't better sounding speakers out there, because there are, but these sound really, really good for $299. And I have no issues recommending them for any kind of setup, whether it be on the desk, in a nice 2-channel setup. If you need powered speakers, definitely check the Ai61s out. Now, the 41s are a little bit smaller, so they'll fit in a little bit more places, but remember, they don't have that USB-C connection. But I'll put links to both in the description below. Also, you might need a longer speaker cable. This is 8 feet, so it works, but if you need a little bit longer, I'll put a link to a longer speaker cable in the description below as well. But again, I do recommend these speakers because they sound great. So if you want to purchase these or anything else, use that link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you next time.